Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Okay, this is one of the wildest ones we've covered in a while, so buckle up. We're talking about the Mercedes-AMG One SUV, and if this actually happens the way it's being described. This is Mercedes taking literal Formula One hybrid technology and dropping it into a full-size luxury SUV. Let's get into it. If you're new here, this is what we do. We break down every major reveal and concept in the performance and luxury space. So if that's your thing, go ahead and hit subscribe. Because there's a lot more of this coming. So let's talk about why this matters so much. The original AMG One was already one of the most extreme road cars ever built. It's basically a Formula One power unit, detuned just enough to be street legal, wrapped in a hypercar body. We're talking a turbocharged 1.6-liter V6 paired with 4 electric motors, technology pulled almost directly from Mercedes' actual F1 program. It took years longer than planned to actually get into customer hands, because that kind of technology is genuinely brutal to make road legal and reliable enough for daily use. Now, the idea of putting that same philosophy into an SUV sounds almost contradictory on paper. Hypercars and SUVs are about as far apart as two vehicle categories can get. One's about extracting the absolute maximum performance in the lightest possible package, the other is about space, comfort, and everyday usability. But that's exactly what makes this story so interesting. Mercedes potentially trying to prove that F1-derived hybrid technology can work in a completely different kind of vehicle. Let's get into the design side of things. Given the AMG One nameplate, expect Mercedes to lean into an aggressive, motorsport-inspired aesthetic even in SUV form. Think massive front air intakes, because that hybrid powertrain is going to generate serious heat that needs to go somewhere. An aggressively raked windshield and roofline to keep aerodynamics as clean as physically possible for something this size, and probably some kind of active aero elements. Adjustable spoilers or diffusers, borrowed directly from Mercedes' Motorsport aero knowledge. Wheel design is likely going to be a major talking point here too. Expect lightweight forged wheels. Probably with aerodynamic covers or unique spoke designs specifically engineered to manage airflow around the wheel wells, something Mercedes has experimented with on previous AMG performance models. Inside, this is where things get genuinely interesting, because the standard AMG One has an almost cockpit-like interior, tight focused. Built entirely around the driving experience with minimal creature comforts. An SUV version obviously can't get away with that same approach if it wants to actually sell as a luxury vehicle. So expect Mercedes to try to blend that motorsport-inspired driver focus. Think a wraparound cockpit design, F1-style steering wheel elements with integrated controls. With genuine luxury SUV comforts, premium leather, a full second and possibly third row, and Mercedes' latest MBUX infotainment system stretched across a massive display. That's going to be one of the trickiest balancing acts here, honestly. Keeping that hardcore performance identity intact while still delivering the kind of space and comfort buyers expect at this price point. Now let's talk about the powertrain, because this is really the entire story. If Mercedes is genuinely bringing over AMG One technology, expect some version of that turbocharged V6 hybrid setup, paired with multiple electric motors for all-wheel drive and instant torque delivery. The original AMG One produces over 1,000 horsepower combined from its hybrid system, and if Mercedes brings anything close to that into an SUV package, you're looking at genuinely supercar-rivaling acceleration in something that can also carry your family and groceries. 0 to 60 in the low 3-second range wouldn't be unreasonable to expect if that power figure holds up, which for a full-size SUV would put it in genuinely record-setting territory. The complexity here, though, is real. That AMG One powertrain was notoriously difficult to engineer for road use, even in a dedicated hypercar built specifically around it. So adapting it into a heavier SUV platform with completely different packaging requirements is an enormous engineering challenge. This is a big part of why, if this happens at all, it might take considerably longer to actually reach production than a typical new SUV reveal. Suspension is going to need to do a lot of heavy lifting here too. Expect active suspension technology, something Mercedes has already been developing across its AMG lineup. Using electronically controlled dampers that can react in milliseconds to keep the vehicle flat through corners despite the higher center of gravity that comes with SUV proportions. Let's talk comparison for a second, because this thing doesn't really have a direct rival right now. Something like the Aston Martin DBX or the Lamborghini Urus brings supercar-adjacent performance into an SUV body, but neither of those is running literal Formula One-derived hybrid technology. They're using heavily modified versions of existing high-performance combustion engines. If Mercedes actually pulls this off with genuine AMG One powertrain technology, this would be operating in a category by itself. More of a halo vehicle designed to make a statement than something built to directly compete on spec sheets with existing luxury performance SUVs. That halo vehicle positioning also tells you something about pricing and exclusivity. The original AMG One was produced in extremely limited numbers, something like 275 units worldwide. And prices for those that have changed hands have gone well past $2 million, given how rare and technologically complex they are. If the SUV version follows anything close to that same limited production philosophy, expect this to be an extremely exclusive, extremely expensive vehicle, not something aimed at broad market sales. More a technology showcase and brand statement piece. As for release timing, treat this as very early stage speculation. Given how long the original AMG One took to actually reach customers, and the genuine engineering complexity of adapting that technology into an entirely different vehicle category, I would not expect this to be something you can walk into a dealership and order anytime soon, even if Mercedes does move forward with it. So here's the real question: does F1 hybrid technology actually belong in an SUV? Or is this the kind of engineering exercise that sounds incredible in a press release, but proves nearly impossible to actually deliver at scale? Honestly, the technical challenge here is fascinating regardless of whether it ever reaches full production. Because it's forcing Mercedes to figure out how to package genuinely cutting-edge motorsport technology into a completely different set of constraints than what it was originally designed for. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Is this the ultimate performance SUV statement, or is Mercedes stretching the AMG One name into territory it was never meant to go? And if this actually reaches production, even in extremely limited numbers, would you want one? Or does this feel like technology in search of a problem that didn't need solving? If you're into these kinds of deep dives, make sure you're subscribed, because we're going to keep tracking this story as more comes out. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.